उनको वही डेडिकेटेड एंड प्रोफेशनल केयर मिलेगी। ऑन लॉक ने बुजुर्गों की सेहत को अपना प्रायोरिटी बना लिया है। और जानने के लिए 1855-308-0195 पे कॉल करें। That's 1855-308-0195. After months of screen time and no play dates, the Children's Discovery Museum is open for Purple Play Days of Summer. It's time to rediscover the wonder. Climb on the fire engine, splash around in the waterworks, blow bubbles, and scale the tree climber in Bill's backyard. Oodles of hands-on arts and culture, STEM, health, and nature-themed exhibits await your family. The Giant Purple Museum is open every day, Wednesday through Sunday. Reservations are required at cdm.org. That's cdm.org.
Top of the morning, Bay, with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's
Good Morning Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार,
वनकम,
नमस्कारा,
खुशामदीद,
सलाम अलैकुम,
सत श्री अकाल,
कंदरिकी वंदनमु,
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण,
जय जनेंद्र।
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोलते हैं या अली मदद,
मोराली मदद बोलते हुए सारी फीट जय मंदिर बोलेंगे नीसाम बोला बड़ा जान। हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे। मैं सिर्फ फालतू बाबा
and of course myself फालतू रानी लेकर आपके लिए एक और ड्राइव टाइम that's going to make it totally exciting and totally मस्तानी बंदू जानी।
टू द बजा आप के लिए क्विक लुक एट व्हाट्स हैपनिंग इन द रोड्स। रास्ते का हाल आपके लिए टोटल सस्ते में।
It's time for the Bandu traffic update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
That's right, Banjan. Wherever you are, if you're stuck in traffic, we are here to see if we can actually somehow get you updates on that, Banjan. Now, speaking of traffic, well, there is an accident report for you guys. A traffic hazard on 880 northbound, south of 84. The lane is blocked over there, but the impact of that, actually, I don't know whether it's because impact of that particular thing, but there's kind of a huge backlog on 880, but near the University area, starting from University all the way to the Tennyson Alquire area, that side, right? So basically, it's the northbound, or going towards the bridge. There's a huge backlog there. It's like, pretty much like a stop and go traffic. Apart from that, the freeways in 101 and everything is looking good. A report of a accident on 85 just popped up on near Cottle Road. The right shoulder is affected there. CHP is on the scene trying to get the traffic moving and flowing, but there will be some kind of congestion. As you guys know, the pandemic is almost ending, as in the conditions also are not like the pandemic time. It's like, it's coming up as new normal for us. Weather-wise, I told you it's going to be pretty hot today. We're going to hit almost the 90s, and Saturday also going to be hot, pretty much upper 90s, 91, 92 as I told you yesterday, and Sunday as well. But probably next week it'll kind of cool down to the mid-70s. So just this weekend is going to be nice and hot. If you're going to be planning some outings and everything, Banjan, I would advise make sure that you carry lots of water, hydrate yourself, and if possible stay indoors for sure, Banjan. And there is a air quality warning or something over here going on in the Bay Area, Banjan, because of the smokes in a neighboring forest. So watch out if you are vulnerable, and if you think children are vulnerable, masking is very important, or staying indoors would be ideal, Banjan. And right now, that was the update of what's happening on the roads and also on the weather part of it. Now, quick look at what's happening with the news. Faltwani, are we ready for that?
Yes, absolutely, Banjan. From the Radio Dihari studios, right here on Good Morning Bay, here are the news in detail from across the world, Banjan. The United States is on alert right now for more attacks as the death toll rises from the Kabul airport carnage. The bomb blast actually killed 79 Afghans and about 13 U.S. service members. U.S. forces are helping to evacuate Afghans desperate to flee the Taliban rule were on alert for more attacks on Friday after an Islamic State attack killed 92 people, including 13 service members that I talked about just a little while ago, just outside the Kabul airport. General Frank McKenzie, head of U.S. Central Command, said U.S. commanders were watching for more attacks by the Islamic State, including possibly rockets or car bombs targeting the airport. We're doing everything we can to be prepared, McKenzie said, adding that some intelligence was being shared with the Taliban and he believed some attacks have been thwarted by them. Thursday's attack took place near the airport gate, where thousands of people have gathered to try to get inside the airport and onto evacuation flights since Taliban took control of the country on August 15th. US and allied forces are racing to complete evacuations of their citizens and vulnerable Afghans and to withdraw from Afghanistan by the August 31st deadline set by President Joe Biden. President Joe Biden, on the other hand, promised retribution against those responsible for the carnage at the Kabul airport that killed 13 of American servicemen and scores of Afghans, even as this grisly event shook his presidency with charges ranging from incompetence to treason. We will not forgive and we will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay, a visibly shaken Biden pledged at a White House news conference on Thursday, while asserting that the U.S. would continue the airlift of American nationals and their Afghan allies amid fears of more such suicide attacks. Despite the bloodbath at the airport, the White House said approximately 12,500 people were airlifted from Kabul on Friday, with 35 U.S. military flights carrying approximately 8,500 evacuees and 54 coalition flights flying out approximately 4,000 people. The CIA, military veterans and private contractors were all reported to be pitching in to airlift more than 500 American citizens and tens of thousands of Afghan allies still stranded, strife-torn country. Of course, the US president's critics have assailed his administration for sharing with the Taliban lists of Americans and Afghans who required safe passage to airport amid fears they would be targeted, with Republicans using terms such as sellout, betrayal, and treason. In fact, one of the Republican reps, House of Reps, person actually went ahead and said that Biden should resign at this particular point in time, because they're making a big deal of his stance, where when he was asked a question, President Joe Biden held his head down, and he was clearly visibly shaken from what had happened. Also, what is happening is President Joe Biden seems to be shedding support from independents, a crucial voting bloc that helped the Democrats win the White House and Congress last year as a resurgence of COVID-19 cases slows the country's return to normal from the pandemic, a Reuters Ipsos polling is showing. The drop in support comes at a precarious time for the first-year president, whose administration has been under fire for its handling of the pullout of the U.S. forces from Afghanistan. On Thursday, more than a dozen U.S. troops and dozen civilians were killed, as we know, at the Kabul airport. The United States Supreme Court has ended the CDC's pandemic residential eviction moratorium. The U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday ended this moratorium that was imposed by President Joe Biden's administration in a challenge to the policy brought by a coalition of landlords and real estate trade groups. The justices, who in June had left in place a prior ban that expired at the end of July, granted a request by the challengers to lift the moratorium by U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that was to have run until October 3rd. The challengers argued that the law on which the CDC relied did not allow it to implement the current ban. It strains credulity to believe that this statute grants the CDC the sweeping authority that it asserts, the court said in an unsigned opinion. If a federally imposed eviction moratorium is to continue, Congress must specifically authorize it, is what they're saying. The three liberal justices on the court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, all dissented. And this is Reuters exclusive that's coming out, Panajan, that Microsoft Corp has on yesterday warned thousands of its cloud computing consumers, including some of the world's largest companies, that intruders could have the ability to read, change, or even delete their main databases, according to a copy of the email and a cybersecurity researcher. The vulnerability is in Microsoft Azure's flagship Cosmos DB database. A research team at the security company Wiz discovered that it was able to access keys that control access to databases held by thousands of companies. Wiz Chief Technology Officer Amy Lutwak is a former Chief Technology Officer at Microsoft's Cloud Security Group. Because Microsoft cannot change those keys by itself, it emailed the customers on Thursday telling them to create new ones. Microsoft agreed to pay Wiz $40,000 for finding this flaw and reporting it, according to an email that it sent to Wiz. In a local news, Banajan, you remember that Millennium Tower that we were talking about, where the upgrade would make the tilting worse?
Yeah, I heard they stopped the construction.
Well, apparently 2 local engineers had warned in a report to San Francisco officials way back in 2019 that a proposed foundation retrofit for this tower would make the troubled building tilt even more. It's a prediction that has come painfully true for the residents of this luxury high-rise, who have learned that the tower is now leaning 22 inches forward towards Fremont Street, shifting 5 of those inches since work on the perimeter pile upgrade project began in May. It was doomed from the beginning, and writing this report was like shooting fish in a barrel for people who know what they're doing, said Larry Karp, a 6-decade veteran geotechnical engineer based in Orinda. He prepared this analysis with another engineer at the request of the Board of Supervisors in July of 2019, and he said that the drop is precipitous. Karp had analyzed recent monitoring data on the project. 26% occurred this year. That's a total tilt of the building, and the building had been there for years and years and years. Several South Bay hospitals, which include Good Sam, have said that actually have been accused of losing and mishandling patient bodies. Apparently, according to court documents filed in a 2019 lawsuit by a lady called Dana Venosta against Good Sam Hospital, Venosta's mother's body went missing at this facility because another body was stacked on top of it for days. Good Sam and its parent company HCA Healthcare settled the suit and told the investigative unit staff that they failed to follow storage protocols and that the error was corrected. Immediately after this case, there was another case where this lady called Jill Monteleone was nearly 6 months along when her pregnancy suddenly ended. A hospital social worker ended up calling her and saying, "We're sorry, but Good Sam cannot find the body," and then they threw out the body. Yeah, this is how bad situations were. It was just labeled as tissue on the chart, and how could it be labeled tissue? I was 6 months pregnant. I had a sonogram of the baby sucking his thumb, and they couldn't find the body of the baby. Monteleone said that, like Venosta, she and her husband made specific arrangements with Good Sam Hospital, but staff ignored and grossly mishandled their loved one. So, like this, Good Sam isn't the only one, apparently. HCA also owns a second facility called Regional Medical Center. It holds a low 2-star hospital quality rating for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. State violations obtained by the investigative unit in 2019 show that inspectors cited Regional Medical Center for failure to provide considerate, respectful care to 2 patients. This failure resulted in one of its patients' remains being held at a local mortuary for, guess how many days, Alto Baba?
How many days?
298 days.
Wow.
And another one being held at the hospital morgue for more than 108 days. Anyway, let's go on over to schools, Pinajan. So far, it's been a bumpy start to the school year for many around the Bay Area. Nearly every district saw COVID-19 cases within days of reopening. While the numbers have been relatively low, parents are understandably on edge. On Thursday, Bay Area health officials were reaffirming support to a full return to school. even though parents are hesitant, Bay Area health officials are saying that after a year of distance learning and some high-profile reports of COVID-19 cases, they are saying that although there are concerns, children are better off in school as long as schools follow the COVID protocols. What are those protocols? Are all school districts following it? We are not sure. We can keep kids in school, and we need to take all the safety measures that San Francisco school districts and health departments are taking now, said San Francisco Health Officer Dr. Susan Phillip. Phillip said that adds a layer of protection along with masking and more. We have hand hygiene and have all these additional layers of protection that add up to making the schools safer. I don't know how many layers of protection, Manajan, but what is happening is that a lot of kids, right, during lunch break, they're being intermingled between different classes. They all sit outside in some schools, and they don't have their masks on because it's time to eat, and they're all talking to each other and they're all playing with each other without any physical distancing and no masking. And these are children who are not vaccinated. So that is a huge concern for a lot of parents, and so that's pretty much what we had in news from across the United States and locally here in the Bay Area. Right now it's time for our Gane Ka Kida.
Yes, Gane Kida Khabajam. But Fatwani, did you know what is special about today?
What is special about today, Alta?
I'm asking you, is there anything special about today?
Today is August the 27th. So the special thing about today is that it's Friday. It's your day, it's my day, and it's Friday. We had a song for this called the Friday song, Brijan. It's Friday, it's Friday, it's Friday, it's your day, it's my day, it's Friday. That's the song that we have.
Wow.
Yes.
That's the song that we have or we had. Do we still use that song anymore, Fatwani?
I don't know. It's been a long time since we used that song.
Exactly. We don't use that song anymore, Fatwani. So what is the other song we would use?
What do you mean?
What other song would we use for today, being Friday?
You could use any song, Altu Baba. You could use a song which is a total enjoyable song like Main Hu Jum 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 Ru. Is that the song that you have for us?
No, Faltu, I don't have that song for us.
Then
but I can actually have that song as a song for you.
Because that is actually a song which is reminiscent of. Oh, actually, you know what?
Yes, Faltu.
It is going to be a very hot weekend, right? So we should have something that cools us off.
This is cool stuff, Faltu. Imagine you're sitting actually in a train going in Shimla.
Oh, how
Hill
beautiful.
Station.
मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू पकड़ घूमू बनके घुमरू मैं ये प्यार का गीत सुनाता चला मंजिल पे मेरी नजर मैं दुनिया से बेखबर बीती बातों पे धूल उड़ाता चला मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू पकड़ घूमू बनके घुमरू मैं ये प्यार का गीत सुनाता चला मंजिल पे मेरी नजर मैं दुनिया से बेखबर बीती बातों पे धूल उड़ाता चला यूड़े पका योका पका यूड़े बगा लूका बगा मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू फक्कड़ घूमू बनके घुमरू साथ में हम सफर न कोई कारवां भोला भाला सीधा साधा लेकिन दिल का हूँ शहजादा है ये मेरी जमीन ये मेरा आसमां
And right now, but just time for us to go and take a look at what's happening around the world. A quick look at that Falwani. Let's give it to our bandus. Take it away.
Absolutely, Banajan. NATO allies are struggling to ensure that Afghan's main gateway, Kabul airport, remains open for urgently needed humanitarian aid flights next week when they end their evacuation airlifts and turn it over to the Taliban. The airport, a lifeline for tens of thousands of evacuees fleeing victorious Taliban fighters in the last 2 weeks and for aid arriving to relieve the impact of drought and conflict, was hit by a deadly attack, as we know, yesterday. Turkey said that it was still talking to the Taliban about providing technical help to operate the airport after August 31st deadline for troops to leave Afghanistan, but said that the bombing underlined the need for a Turkish force to protect any experts that have been deployed there. In news about from Britain, Banajan, two British nationals and the child of a third British national were killed in Thursday's attack at Kabul airport. British Foreign Minister Dominic Raab said on Friday, "These were innocent people and it is a tragedy that as they sought to bring their loved ones to safety in the UK, they were murdered by cowardly terrorists," Raab said in a statement. The Kabul airport attack, which killed 13 US troops and also 17 Afghans, were claimed by the Islamic State militants. In other news from across the world, Banajan, a U.S. warship has transited the Taiwan Strait after the Chinese assault drills. A U.S. warship and a U.S. Coast Guard cutter sailed through the Taiwan Strait on Friday, the latest in what Washington calls routine operations through the sensitive waterway that separates Taiwan from China, which claims the self-ruled island. The passage comes amid a spike in military tensions in the past 2 years between Taiwan and China and follows Chinese assault drills last week with warships and fighter jets exercising off the island's southwest and southeast. The Kidd, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, accompanied by the Coast Guard cutter Munro, transited through international waters in accordance with international law, the U.S. Navy said in a statement. In news from India, Bandajan, tech advancement can make India a superpower, said Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. India has the potential to become a superpower if it makes advancements in technologies. He was addressing M.Tech students, PhD scholars and researchers at the Defence Institute of Advanced Technology, a deemed University of Defence Research and Development Organization, which is the DRDO, after inaugurating some newly constructed infrastructure at the Institute campus in Khadakwasla. India records the highest ever single day COVID-19 vaccination coverage with over 93 lakh doses administered. At least 50% of adults now have received at least one shot of the COVID-19 vaccine. In another significant achievement, COVID-19 vaccine coverage crossed 62 crores as per the 7 p.m. provisional report that was issued yesterday. Let me take decisions warns Navjot Singh Sidhu amid turmoil in the Punjab Congress. State Party Chief Navjot Singh Sidhu said that he will not spare anyone if the leadership does not allow him to take decisions. I have told High Command that if you don't let me take decisions, I'm not going to spare anyone and baja dunga, is what he said. I do not want to be a show horse, he said in stern remarks amid tensions with Congress leadership. And the Taliban is issuing a statement, and in their first comments on Kashmir.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
That's nice.
Zabiullah Mujahid said Pakistan and India should sit together to resolve their outstanding issues because both are neighbors and their interests are linked to each other.
And we'll meddle in between, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we don't know what's happening on that. Well, I think all those things is a conspiracy. What's happening? I have a conspiracy theory for everything, Manajan.
Yeah.
The bomb blast also could be something which is actually, I don't know. I think sometimes I feel like the Taliban is trying to do, they don't have the capacity to build a government, so they're desperately waiting for somebody who can do it. Because Taliban is actually built as you know what, right? It's a political viewpoint. It's not actually a political party.
Oh, it's just a Sharia thing, is it?
It's not Sharia thing. Don't just say Sharia, Maswari. Sharia law is a different thing. But Taliban, the way it's built, right? They're more like people who want to fight.
Yeah.
Not a person who can govern, not a body which can govern, so that's why I think they are desperately looking for support, and international politics is not allowing them to do it.
Well, they're saying now that the Taliban and the US are now going to have to combat a common enemy, and that is the Islamic State, ISIS. Well, more on that.
When things are a little bland, what you got to do? You got to add some spice. Oh. That's what they're doing right now, Fatma. You should know. That's my conspiracy theory. Hey,
it's just heartbreaking to see
it is
those
sad.
images.
Yes, it is sad to see the common man, the humanity which has been affected, right? because of their actions. But yeah, Bhajan, we are hoping and praying everybody are safe around the world. And this is a nice song. Vibhaji, what a nice observation you made about the song. Anyway, enjoy the song. Bhajan, with this, we're going to be saying, have a fantastic Friday. We'll see you in the evening at 5 with Ye Shah Mastani.
मुझको प्यारा हर इंसान दिल वालों पे हूँ कुर्बान जिंदगी है मेरी जिंदगी के मैं हूँ झुम 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 झुमरू फक्कड़ घूमू बन के घुमरू मैं ये प्यार का गीत सुनाता चला.
Hi, this is Jamie Lever, and you're listening to Radio Dehoti, where